Hi, folks, and welcome to She's All Talk Live. I'm your host, Leslie Ann, and welcome back. Now, I said I was going to get you a good guest, so I have another good guest. Guys, what a week it's been. Oh my God, what a week it's been. Every time you turn on the news, there's more stuff, dreadful stuff coming out of the Ukraine. Our weather has been dreadful. Everything has just been mad. It's just a mad week. Another week closer to spring, which is great. Closer to better weather. Apparently, we have a mini heat wave on the way for Paddy's Day. So, not looking too bad for us Irish for the next couple of days, seeing as though it is our national holiday. Anyway, I am going to bring on my guest. And my guest this week is the amazing Hughie Maughan. How are you, Hughie?
Hello.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you perfect.
Good.
I can hear you
Good.
perfect. We'll start off by explaining what actually happened to us last Friday.
Yeah. So we have, for the viewers and people listening, we have already kind of done half an interview, but it all just went P-tong, as you say in the UK. It just went completely. We didn't make a balls of it because it was great,
No.
and this is going to be great again. But it just it was
It
all
basically went tits up, didn't it?
Yeah, we were destined just to get drunk, and that was brilliant as we did. So we met each other a few days ago to do the podcast. Just sticking my charger on. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, working on.
Make ourselves comfortable at home.
So we met. Put on the kettle.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm in my bedroom, so I'll have to go to the other room for that one.
Me neither. I can't be arsed.
So we met each other a few days ago to do the podcast in the paddocks. It was lovely. We got a drink, started recording. We had a chat with people. I've been there in the past to films, and I've been there like with friends or whatever. So, and you're from around the corner or whatever. So it was great. So I'm setting the scene. It was brilliant. We recorded for about half an hour. Had big long convo about my time on telly and all of a sudden the laptop just dies, right? Then she sends was it for you your husband or your son or something to bring you up a charger?
To bring me around my charger. Do not think now I would have had that charger already.
No, but you did say it was fully charged before you left the house, so it's all right. Then you just say oh, do you know what? Let's just have a drink and we'll do part 2 over Zoom or whatever because we recorded quite a bit. And that was fine. I was fine to kind of let you lead the way. She gets home. You check on the laptop and the file hadn't saved because it just shut down itself. Oh, it was.
God, I was snapping the next day. What was I like? I was like, oh my God. And it was so good. And we were in the paddocks and we had our cocktail. And we're like, oh my God. Fuck my life.
I know. But look, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't destined to be out there.
Yeah, well, we had to be in there having a drink, and we said, look,
it was the one that got away. It was the one that got away. Like us to our exes, the one that got away.
The ones that, thanks be to Jesus, they got away. Thanks be to Jesus.
Us to our exes. It's not our exes to us. They can stay away.
How dare they?
Yeah, we're the ones that got away.
Right, Hughie. Okay, let's get into where we started, right? Back the other night, and then we fucked it up. Anyway, right. So we're gonna go back to Hughie pre-Big Brother, right?
Okay.
So Hughie pre-Big Brother. Tell me.
So Hughie pre-Big Brother. I was born in Drogheda, County Louth. Even my birth was dramatic and infamous. I didn't tell you this the other night, but the doctor who delivered me is a man called Dr. Michael Neary, and he was like the butcher that was in Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital.
Oh, Jesus.
Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Drogheda, who literally put women through the worst child labours ever, and he done years in prison. So even my bloody birth was so dramatic without bloody making that humorous, but so dramatic and just not normal. That set the stone for all of my life. And so my parents used to live in Balbriggan. They moved from there. They moved to Tala. And then when I was 3 years old, they moved to Ballymun, which is where my mum actually is from. My dad's from County Meath in Bellewstown, and my dad grew up between there and London, so lots of different pasts and family all over the place, if you know what I mean.
Mm,
And I grew up in Ballymun, so suppose like everyone, my life growing up was normal to me. What's normal to me is normal to me. But I
yeah,
suppose when I look back, like we've chatted in the past, I suppose I did have a lot of very difficult times because I had a lot of identity issues. Like
right.
being a traveler and being gay kind of was mixed together as good as oil and water mixed together. It just didn't mix.
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of suppression and like felt very underrepresented by how travelers are represented in the media, how my dad is, how his mates are. I felt like I didn't really have a role model to look up to because I felt very out of place my whole life.
Yeah.
And then in school with non-travelers, without like it sounded like I'm playing the victim, but I felt very different in some ways as well because I came from the traveling community and other people didn't. And I didn't always kind of get that difference, but I suppose it was to do with society stereotypes and typecasting on where I come from.
Uh, yeah.
So I struggled a lot with identity growing up because there was so much almost identity pushed on me, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just always trying to just be Hughie, whereas I always felt like I was either the gay one, or I was the traveler one, or I was the weird one. Or like when people are being derogatory, I was a pikey, I was a knacker, I was this, or do you know what I mean? I always felt like I struggled just being myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that became a theme later on in my life for sure. I feel like there's been moments when I've really probably tried to play characters and tried to fit in and tried to act certain ways, everything but myself. And even after I've come out and all, I feel like there probably still was times of that. And as a kid, I always wanted to do like some form of entertainment, and I loved reality
Yeah.
shows because I felt like I watched those shows and I seen people who were from all sorts of backgrounds, and I felt like there was diversity still and individuality, and I always wanted to be that. And I feel like my point of even saying that to you is that as I got older, I kind of confused that. I feel like having received so much negative attention in my life, I went from wanting to do entertainment to entertain people to probably just wanting to be famous, but in a negative way, like
I get you.
attention by any means and all of
Yeah.
that. And that probably was early in my career. I was probably in some ways like that, probably because I'd received so much negative attention in my life. And also, early in my career, I was in a relationship that wasn't very healthy. So, like, I just felt like there was no balance, if that makes sense. And a lot of it stemmed from
Yeah.
my childhood. Like us all, I do believe we are products of our environments,
Environment grown up. Yeah, definitely.
but I don't think we have to be prisoners of it. I think we can definitely change it. If you have like
Yeah.
a 30-year-old fella who's still using the like stuff about when he was a kid, you have to try and change it at some stage. But I'm
True.
understanding of it. I've worked with kids in care and stuff, so I get it
Mm, mm.
for
Tell
sure.
me, tell me when I'm just going back to when you would have seen like people on the TV and you wanted to get into that kind of you felt like you fit in. I would have thought like you watching telly over in the UK, and there seemed to be a bit more kind of gay people on TV, and there seemed to be a little bit more kind of not as
Diversity
introvert.
or
Yeah,
representation.
absolutely, and we seem to be a little bit more kind of behind
Yeah.
especially on our TV. Like, and when you look at the UK stations, you would see that as opposed to in Ireland. So,
Yeah.
like, that would it would draw you into the UK and wanting to be on that type of TV where there is so much diversity.
Well, I mean, like I would have done as I've done Irish shows, but I wouldn't have not done an Irish show to begin with if there was something there for me. But there just
Mm,
wasn't. I know like Ireland has done their try with reality shows, but a lot of the time they've put barely any money into it. It's come off very tasteless in the sense that it
yes.
feels like it's copying American or UK shows.
Yeah, we've come a
So
long way in fairness on the Irish TV, but like
yeah, oh
more.
my God, there's so much more to it. And even when I lived in England, sorry for cutting you off, but like to
No,
answer your
you're grand.
question more, even when I lived in England or even as a kid, like we have 5 TV channels in Ireland as far as I'm aware. We've RT1 and 2, We had TV3, which is now obviously Virgin Media 1 and 2, and we have TG Car, which is Irish for Channel 4, isn't it? I think television Channel 4. And I think then that's it. What we have, we've only got a radio. Then, like, we literally have 5 channels. Like, if you go on to Skybox, whatever, there's like hundreds of American and British channels. So yeah, and they're all doing a wide range of stuff. So we always have like one reality show on. So now it's Dancing with the Stars. There's no other really shows. There's not really much. No. So like this really is our scope of like of our TV industry. So I know what you mean. Like growing up, kind of subconsciously seeking out for understanding. And you know what, like also I think instinctively I've always been a people's person, and I'm very community spirited, and I'm very much like I'm really interested in people. I love doing people's podcasts. I'd love to create my own and chat to people and stuff myself because I love learning. So
yeah, I found that with you the other night. It was very striking that like, you know, you meet some people and sometimes it can be, yeah, you're chatting away, but you were kind of very interested in my upbringing and how, you know, like, definitely. And I find that great because, you know, you can get some people who are kind of all about themselves, you know what I'm trying to say? And with yourself, like, I mean, we were chatting for ages before we even started recording.
We've got about half an hour, I'd say. You told me all your story of like growing up and we moved to Tenerife and meeting your fella and your kids and like your story with that. Like I just love learning. My dad's really like that, and I didn't realize how much we had in common until I moved back home nearly 2 years ago. I'm really like my mom and my dad, and it's really bizarre. I really feel like I'm so different to what people think because I'm a traveler and stuff. So everybody must think I'm so different to all my family, and kind of maybe on the outside looking in, and when you look at things very black and white, I am. But when you look between the lines, I feel like I look like my parents and both my sisters all together, and I act like them all in one person. It's so weird. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. I feel like I'm the one in the whole family that's most kind of like everyone, if that makes sense. Yeah. But since like I've come home, I've realized that like all my family, especially me and my dad and my sister's son, is really extroverted, and we love chatting, we love meeting people and learning stuff. So I've always really been like that. So that's the reason why I agreed to like do people's podcasts, and why I'd like to do one myself. And I think that's probably why also I felt really drawn to reading books and especially autobiographies and watching reality shows growing up. So that's a big part of my childhood and my teenage years. When other kids like lads loved football, I loved reading books on people's lives, and feeling quite sheltered and having identity issues made me really weirdly introverted on like by people looking at me. But I wasn't shy. I just felt very out of place and very judged everywhere I went. So, and sometimes maybe I ended up being paranoid that it wasn't even always going on. And that was probably because it happened so much at different times. I felt like everywhere I went, people were doing that, and I never had confidence and stuff. And my drama teacher seen in me kind of that person who loved to entertain people and having fun. And she used to always try to get me involved in stuff. But I'd get there and like at the final hour, I'd just back out, and I'd have so many self-esteem issues. And I was scared of acting camp by accident, where that would be my natural self coming out.
You're afraid of kind of letting yourself, I suppose, exposing yourself to who you really were and who you were hiding.
Scared of being vulnerable. That's the word. And I feel like that's a thing that a lot of humans have in common. I think everyone has that fear of vulnerability, because you're reared to be strong, and you go through breakups and your mom and dad tells you, like, you know, if somebody says this to you, stand up for yourself. Don't have shit friends. Don't let somebody put you through this in a relationship. So we're always trying to be strong, especially men, I feel, and all of us as Irish people, and especially men and women from minority backgrounds, like traveller backgrounds and stuff, were very reared, and coming from Ballymun and Ballyferma and inner city and these types of areas were taught to be so strong. We're so scared of vulnerability and stuff. So like,
you're taught to not show a weak side at all.
God, Jay, because it's like, you go outside and somebody will bleeding punch you or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Hit you with a brick.
That is what we're taught. And I was really shown that as a kid. So I think that it all plays a role, I think, with how I ended up being. But now that I'm an adult, since I've moved home nearly 2 years ago, I've
Mm,
really started to figure all of that in my head. Like I write stuff down, I've spoken to therapists, and like I've
mm,
reconnected with good friends and stuff that I didn't lose when I went to the UK, but we lost time in one another through, if I'm very honest, through us having toxic relationships at the same time, and then space and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So since I've come home, I've really figured things out. I feel definitely.
do you feel like you've kind of you found yourself a little bit more? I suppose
Yeah.
you've figured out who you are. Another question I wanted to ask you. So when you went to Big Brother, and you were in the house and everything, and then you ended up living in the UK, did you find that you were able to kind of be yourself more in the UK? Like, let out that side of you that you were holding back for so long, or did you find it harder?
I think I definitely at the very start found I could let it out more, and that's because I
Right.
was technically surrounded by strangers, and there
Mm.
wasn't that thing where I was scared of travelers just walking into the pub and I'm sat there kissing my boyfriend or something like that there. But
Mm.
Big Brother, like really, like that was such a big moment for me. Like that really kind of. I felt like I feel like when I look back, I wanted to push so much who I was into everyone in the world's face that I'd never have to answer questions again. That sometimes were like the worst question in the world for me when I was 18 or something was, "Are you gay?" That was like literally like somebody was asking me, "Was I a sex offender?" That's how I took
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Like I told you that the other day, like that's like somebody asking me, "Am I a sex criminal?" Like that's how I found out,
yeah,
and I would like be so embarrassed if anybody heard. And I'd be looking around me and stuff. So that's how it
yeah,
was. So going into Big Brother, that was a big pressurized moment, and that's why it was so dramatic as well, like such a big dramatic way to properly come out publicly, like on the bloody
exactly.
telly, and then get a boyfriend like a week into it and stuff like that was a lot. But that's just a reflection of how dramatic it was the other
Yeah,
side
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
traumatizing for me. So, but to answer that question, like I feel like now I can be myself regardless of where I go. But at that time, a few years ago, probably I spent so much time in the UK, and why I became so vulnerable to end up in a toxic relationship was I really felt like I wanted that divide and I needed to go elsewhere and I needed to not be in my hometown and I needed to
Yeah.
see other people. Where really I needed both. I needed to go there, but I needed to keep me grounded with my friends and family and in my
Mm,
own country and focus on my career in Ireland because I had so much support and stuff. But
yeah,
I found that, as I said, as I've got older, but like looking back with hindsight, it's a wonderful thing and you learn from stuff. But I think for sure I can be myself anywhere now. But then I did feel like being away from everything I knew was great for me to grow as a person for better or worse. Do you know what
definitely.
I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Tell me, so you're home, how long did you say you're home again? 2 years.
So I came home July 6th, 2020 for a 2 week visit that ended up permanent.
Straight into a pandemic.
Yeah, well, we went back. Well, we were still in the pandemic, but we went
Okay.
back to full lockdown
Yeah.
3 weeks later. So March, nobody knew. Did my signal break up?
Yeah, gone, but you're back,
Sorry,
which is
sorry,
better.
sir,
Don't be
sorry.
worrying.
Um, I threw my ex's big birthday party and done all like FaceTime. No, sorry, it was the day before it went into lockdown in the UK. It was March 18th, the last day
Yeah, because
ever.
they were kind of a bit after us going into
Yeah,
lockdown, weren't
like
they?
two
Yeah.
weeks. So if you Google it, the UK went into lockdown March 19th, 2020, right?
Okay.
So I done this party March 18th, and we actually went to a bar, pubs. Nobody was out because people were kind of voluntarily not leaving the house at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And nobody knew we weren't together, which when I think back is so bloody crazy, but it shows how far gone the both of us was and how much like we had
Far
love.
gone, we swear.
Yeah, but we were so kind of addicted to the relationship and ourselves. I think we both lost ourselves, but that's another
Yeah.
conversation anyways. But my point of even telling you that is that we then went into lockdown and I couldn't come back to Ireland. Do you remember how strict Ireland was compared to the UK?
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
then I booked to come back. My little sister had her baby, by the way, in March, my goddaughter. And then she's just turned 2. And
Ah, bless her.
then I came back to Ireland July 6th. So my birthday was July 3rd. The UK opened up July 4th, 2020. Ireland
Hmm.
opened up the same day. There are pubs and all where like you could have drinks from your table and whatever. That's when
Okay.
lockdown first eased. So I
Yeah.
came back on the 6th when you could first fly for what was meant to be 2 weeks, like see my sister's baby for the first time, all of that. And me and my ex just like, even though we were already done, we were kind of still being
Yeah.
weird and stuff. But we
It's a
ended,
bit weird.
of course, we're being weird. It's fucking weird as fuck sleeping in the bed with your ex. You split up 3 months ago. That's weird. That's traumatizing. That's no wonder it's taken me 2 years, and God knows probably him as well. But anyways, I came home and I stayed here because I don't know. We just had a round. It was like, well, stay there, or whatever. Like we're not together
Yeah.
anyways, and it just happened. So
Yeah.
that's how long I've been home. But can I tell you something so weird? I felt so far removed from being at home that going to Ireland felt like I was traveling to another country away from
Yeah.
home.
It's mad.
I felt that far removed and that not in touch with friends and family and
Yeah.
myself and my own individual life. That because I lived
Yeah.
in Blackpool, which is a small town, and I only really see my ex's friends, my ex's family. It was hard to make my own friends in a small town with somebody that
Yeah.
so many people already knew.
Yeah.
And just even though I've met my own friends and knew them for a few years, I was still very aware that they knew my ex because there's like 3 high schools. So
Mm.
like 1 in every 3 people went to school with him. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
hard
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find your way.
Of course.
Like
Yeah.
even when I would meet like strangers through my work, they'd be like, "Oh, you go out with so and so." Oh yeah, I knew
Yeah.
him from years ago. We're not best friends, but we're friends. So it was hard. So I had no sense of identity.
And
So
because
I would
you were so well known from Big Brother, the two
yeah,
years as
does that
well.
as
Like,
well.
yeah, yeah,
So I would come home to Ireland and Ireland would feel like how I'd feel now if I went to England. Like it's
yes,
somewhere very familiar, but it's not
yes,
home anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like England feels so familiar and it feels like a second home, but it doesn't feel like home. That's how I felt about Ireland. And like Ireland's obviously familiar. It's where I grew up, but it feels like another lifetime since I lived there. That's kind of how I think of England now. And I thought
yeah,
of Ireland like that back then.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
weird how about you kind of go outside yourself a bit.
Do
Um,
you feel like you're kind of settled at home now?
I do, and you know what? For the longest time, I've wanted to move back to the UK, and I love the UK. Like, I'd love, for example, even just to go to Manchester for like 6 months. I feel like
Yeah,
that's something I have to do. Just
yeah.
6 months. And just today, I actually just bought my own big, huge chalet caravan place that I'm moving into my own plot on the Halton site that I live in because I live on a traveller's Halton
Lovely.
site.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I've
yeah,
moved home, and I was only telling one of my neighbours today, like 2, 3 months ago, I would have liked to just move into my own apartment, whatever. Like we know how hard it is in
mm.
Dublin, especially younger
Oh,
people. The housing crisis so
ridiculous.
expensive. Even if you
Mm.
wanted to like get something that is less expensive or through your council or whatever, you have to meet a
Yeah,
criteria and all of that, and it's just so difficult, especially as a single
yeah,
person. It's so hard.
yeah.
Um, but now I actually wouldn't want that, and I actually want to be in like my own plot
Yeah, yeah, within your
within
kind of
my
family. Yeah,
yeah, but with my own independence and my own space.
yeah,
But I still feel like there's that little thing in me that's itching to like maybe just go somewhere for a few months and do it. Once I know I've got my backup plan and everything set up here.
yeah,
Because I'm self-employed. I've got a business with my brother-in-law, which we can have a
yeah.
chat about if you like. But I'm also training in the microblading industry, and
Oh,
I want to
nice
go into
one.
and I want to go into aesthetics, and I can take that to the UK. And I've just been speaking with a good UK agency in management I might be signing up with. So I'd like to go to the UK and go to like a few events and network and meet people, like really what I should have done when I came out as Big Brother, instead of
Yeah.
being 20, 21 focusing on a relationship.
You're not
um,
to know, like you're just not to know.
yeah, so I'd probably like to do that. But like I love how long-winded all my answers are. But um to answer your question straight with after I've gone around the houses, I do feel settled at home, but that doesn't mean I won't like to get up and go. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's just a coincidence that I'm a traveler because I like to move.
Yeah, well, it's a part and parcel of it, really. Tell me, so you moved on from
Sorry,
Big Brother.
for anyone that visually will be watching this, I don't know if this is going to be just sound. The
It's
reason why I
live.
keep
It's live on
oh my
Facebook.
God,
It's
hello!
live on Facebook.
I didn't even know. Hello.
It's going to be. It'll be on. It'll be on YouTube when we finish. I'll bet that and send it onto YouTube. So we are live on Facebook.
Oh,
Like Adrena says, you're live. Please do not swear. But no, we swear on this
yes.
one.
Can I just say the reason why I keep on itching is because I've done a sunbed for the first time in 2 months, and I'm getting
I'll
that
drive you
itchiness.
nuts. It'll drive you nuts. That itch,
I only
doesn't
done
it?
like 8 minutes, and I'm quite dark, because I've got Spanish
Yeah.
in my family.
Oh, have you now? The cheeky.
Dead chic. Yeah, some of
The
my
cheeky.
ancestry is like European gypsy people, not just Irish travelers.
So it would be like, because my ancestor, I have it as well, but it's gone too far back because I'm so white. On my mother's side, they are from Andalusia, apparently.
Where's
But
that?
Andalusia is it's Seville, it's the southern part of Spain. It's
Oh,
where,
is that the place that people probably mispronounce as Alcudia?
it's not too far from that. And
Right.
it's also where a lot of the Spanish gypsies come from as well.
Oh, is that down in the corner near Gibraltar?
Yes, that's exactly where it is.
That's where Michelle Keegan's.
You know your bleeding geography.
I've been to Spain so many times, and I love Spanish people. I love
do
Spanish
too.
boys. And can I tell you something quite funny? I love the name Hugo. And how weird is this? Hugo is Spanish for Hugh. And I always
Yeah.
wanted to have a little dog called Hugo. But I
Oh,
said, I can't call my dog Hugo because people will think I've named my dog after myself.
after you. It's all right naming your kid, but not your dog, I suppose.
Yeah, I might get a sausage dog and call it chorizo because that's Spanish for
Chorizo.
because that's Spanish for
Chorizo.
sausage or
Yeah,
pork or
yeah.
something, isn't it?
Or the way Spanish say sausages are called salchichas. So you could call your dog salchicha.
Yeah,
That's a good name.
my friend was dating this Spanish Italian boy. Well, he's British, but his mum is Spanish, his dad's Italian, and he grew up in Kent and born there and whatever. He's just always gorgeous. He's so gorgeous. He's actually just gone to prison recently because I
Give
think
him a
he was
shout out. Oh, maybe not.
I mean,
Or maybe not.
yeah, he's in prison. He went to prison for like fraud or something. She hasn't been with him for years. He was gorgeous, but he was just a weirdo. But she went and visited his family in Spain,
Yeah.
and apparently, I don't know if she's lying to exaggerate. She said that it's a delicacy to eat rare pork meat.
Ah, Jesus. Yes.
Like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes. I've heard of that. Yeah, like undercooked.
that's vile.
Yeah, I know. Some of the food can be a bit iffy, can't it? Like,
but that's their culture, isn't it? But I mean, it's
Mm.
vile to me. But I mean, if you look at a pot of coddle, the Irish eat, that's disgusting.
they're like boiled willies. Yeah. My kid, like they are like little boiled willies.
Yeah, I don't eat
Definitely.
meat at all. Well,
No, I thought we spoke about
some
this the
meat,
other night.
some
Just
meat.
some meat, some of the chorizos. It depends how they
So
are.
my friend's ex, I'll have his chorizo in prison. I'm sure he's getting loads of that in prison.
Oh, that's classic. Come here, right? So tell me, right? What? So you moved on. You came home from England. How did all the kind of reality TV kind of offers come in like Ireland? So what was the first one you did when you came back? That's
Right.
the stars.
No. I done Big Brother 2016.
Yeah.
Done an audition through like the internet. Found like a way. Was a big pop culture reality television fan. Knew tens of thousands of people would apply for that.
Yeah.
So I tried to find another way. So I Googled looking for a producer's email. I was quite smart.
Oh, good on you.
Sent him an email. The email of all emails. He either was going to look at this and say this person is a star or this person needs to be locked up in a mental asylum. One or the other. It had that much. Yeah, that had, well, Big Brother House was sort of that glorified, but it had so much in it, and I was really going to town in it. So that's how I ended up. They contacted me, loved me. Then, bloody several auditions later, got on Big Brother, and however, some people watched it. It was a great time. I got a lot of support, whatever, from the show. The most amazing experience ever. Then I got Dancing with the Stars a few weeks after I returned home. I
Okay.
Yeah, I done season 1, and I was one of the first people ever contacted for the show. Cause like I was a gay traveler, it caused a lot of like talk, cause you never see that in the media. I was funny on the show. People said I was very honest. I was only
Mm.
21, but I was quite sure of who I was. I think cause I'd gone through my life kind of being made to feel like I should suppress it a lot.
Yeah.
I was very honest, as I said earlier. I pushed so much about my sexuality and having a boyfriend and all that out there. I was the same with all my views. I was loud and proud. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I then got Dancing with the Stars. Now that's a different kettle of fish. I look back on that now. I don't have regrets because I never have regrets, but I wish I could do something like that show now. And how some
Okay.
of the international versions have done All Stars, I would love if they done an All Stars just so I could do it again. Love
Yeah.
to, love
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is at the time after Big Brother, having just come out to my family, then being on Big Brother, there was this big high. Then the show ended. It was like a big clump back down to earth. But my
Mm.
life wasn't the same afterwards because it was so odd that my family and friends took it so well about my sexuality because I geared myself up for it not to be good that I almost didn't accept that they accepted it. I feel like I would have
Right.
felt
Okay.
I found it so hard to get my head around, right? And then there was the thing with like people were recognizing me when I went places. My old job, I wasn't working there anymore, and I'd had a relationship for the first time. There was all of that. So
Mm.
it was very, very weird. And then I ended up going straight into Dancing with the Stars.
Mm.
Um, I gained a bit of weight, so I didn't feel good in myself. My relationship was very up and down. It's very toxic. I wasn't having fun. I should have been just being a 22-year-old having fun, having the time of their life. Because this
Yeah.
might have only lasted a few months. Like I wasn't to know I was going to get more opportunities and stuff.
After
And I
that, yeah.
didn't, yeah, and I didn't focus really on the show. I felt like I appreciated it. I wasn't rude or a diva or anything. I was lovely to everyone. But I feel like I wish I could take it more seriously now, for sure, right?
And enjoyed it more as a single,
For,
like as a
even
singleton.
or even in a relationship, standing your ground and standing up for yourself and like having your own life and stuff. Do you know what I mean? As well, and like doing your own thing and remembering, like, even if I get to the final of Dancing with the Stars, the longest that's going to be is 10 weeks out of my whole life. So I need to
Mm.
focus on this and I need to be supported in this. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
then that happened, and a whole big fiasco happened when I wore a load of fake
that's
tan.
right.
And
And that really annoyed me. It
yeah,
really annoyed me, and I'm sure you're gonna tell
a
everybody
lot
why, because I
happened.
just thought it was very unfair.
Yeah,
You know.
I was accused of making fun of black people and blackface, and blackface, which is like a something that used to happen in America in the entertainment industry. They would dress
Yeah,
white people up
exactly.
as black people in a
Yeah,
racist,
kind
stereotypical
of
way.
slur type of way. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the reason for it is they would not employ black people in Hollywood in film roles, whether they were playing stereotypical roles or not, they just wouldn't even employ them. So they
Mm.
dressed white people up and painted their bodies dark brown and stuff. And I was accused of doing that when RT, the little in little Catholic Ireland, would never allow you to do something like that.
Absolutely.
And
Even if you wanted to,
yeah,
exactly.
and I walked around, and I was 22, and I'd never even heard of blackface at that time. And
Mm.
I have read so much since about it and whatever because I like to educate myself. But being accused of stuff like that, especially as somebody who was so hailed on Big Brother as somebody that stood up for the right things with being gay and being a traveler and
Mm.
adversity and how
Mm.
that must have been in life,
And that's an
I
insult to you as well.
yeah,
Like it's a
it
pure
was the
insult.
complete it was a complete 180, the two
Mm.
experiences. So that's how I look back on that show. And then I moved to the UK and put my whole heart and soul kind of into moving over there, and I started working with kids in residential care homes and all, which was
Mm.
brilliant. And I'd love to now go back and do a bit of volunteering in one of our youth clubs nearby. And I have heard there's some traveller groups that goes on and LGBT groups and stuff. I'd love to do that,
Okay.
or even merge those two things together and stuff, because I know a
Mm.
lot of kids from my community wouldn't really hear a lot about those sorts of subjects at
Mm.
home, from what I believe, anyways. Um, so I'd like to do something like that. But I done that for like 3 years in the UK, and I do the odd bit of media work. Like I done Just the Two of Us twice with my ex, and which was
Okay.
crazy. Those
Yeah.
tattoos,
Damn
are real.
tattoos. I didn't even
Every
know they were real.
they're real. Everybody says, are they real? Not a real.
You
And
literally have a fanny tattooed on your leg.
I know, and do you know what? I love that one. My ex's face has to go, obviously, but the
Oh,
fanny
is there
one,
another one?
yeah, the fanny one is funny as fuck, so that's staying. But
Yeah.
I would go down to London the odd time to the MTV studios and do a bit of like online work for them, and I'd come back to
Mm.
Ireland. Like I once done like a celebrity version of Winning Streak, which was amazing.
Oh, classic.
Uh, I'd come back and do like I done like this lip sync battle show that Ray Darcy was presenting, and I do bits and bobs like that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of I done Podge and Rog and like a few bits and
Yeah.
pieces, right? But that was for the most part what I was doing, and then skipping forward now, I came home in July 2020. Then I was heartbroken. Everything was upside down. I'd left my job. Ireland went
Yeah.
back into full lockdown. There was a lot going on within my family. It just wasn't a nice time in my life. And a
Yeah.
friend of mine called Martin Beansward, who's a traveller man, gay man, comedian. He's really like coming up in the ranks lately. He's
Great.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's very funny. And he was friends with a lady who worked for Coco Television, which is the production company that makes First Dates in Ireland. And
Right.
she wanted somebody who had a bit of media background to give the show a bit of publicity in terms of
Yeah.
when the new season comes back. But it wasn't like a celebrity version of the show. They just couldn't happen to have a feature on the show.
Yeah.
And he was like, there might be like a little fee in it for you. I know everybody at the minute in the entertainment industry is not really working because of the pandemic and whatever.
Mm.
And like, could be funny. You single, and I said, yeah, I've just broke up with my ex. And I felt like it was way too soon. And again, I was
Oh,
thinking
okay.
about my ex and not me. And I was like, oh my God, I at the time we weren't even speaking, man, I should have blocked. And I was thinking, oh shit, I wonder will he feel upset and stuff, knowing that this wouldn't come out until 6 months afterwards. And it was my
Yeah.
own business, whatever the hell I'd done, but I was that
Yeah.
stupid, caught up in it all when I think back. And I ended up saying yes to meeting the lady, and I went to meet her in town. And this was just when the second lockdown happened. The government in Ireland changed a legislation that said TV could start filming again because it was classified as a essential industry. Because
Okay.
do you
Yeah.
remember the first lockdown for like 4 months? Nobody was allowed film anything, and EastEnders and all was running out of like footage to
Yeah, that was
show.
when things were bad. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they put it down to like one episode a week and all just to kind of
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
the footage going and the storyline. So they had to obviously change that because if people are locked in their house, the last
Yeah.
thing they need is not to be able to watch telly because there's no
You
telly
need to have
made.
something. Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah,
need to have something.
so they allowed us to start making telly again, which is the thing about the pandemic and stuff. I get that point, but if something is so deadly, just because we're making telly doesn't mean we should be able to stand in the same room.
Yeah.
That's another
That's
convo,
another.
anyways, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then I went and I ended up doing First Dates. He was nasty, not good, but it was a fun
Yeah.
experience because before my ex, I'd just come out. I never really dated in my life. So just a date, just to go to a restaurant during a pandemic, just
Mm.
to like, there was something in my heart that was also said, don't say no, Hughie, because I have a feeling this could lead to you getting more work. And my family and all had always said to me, like, I guarantee if you'd never moved to the UK, you would have done so much work back home in Ireland. You don't know
Yeah.
how much support you'd had on Big Brother. And even though
Mm.
I got a lot of stick at the time of Dancing with the Stars, so many people laughed and found that so funny that time, and that became like a viral meme. And at the time, like Ron Seal and all was like posting me on their official pages saying, "Is this the shade you want for your fences?" And it went
Stop.
worldwide. Like so, like I know, like publicity can be bad sometimes, but sometimes bad publicity can something you
Yeah. Of
favor. So
course.
you
Of
can
course.
turn things around. You know what I mean?
Like they say,
And
there's no such thing as bad publicity. All publicity is
yeah.
good publicity. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
the
yeah.
problem is that in the cancel culture world we live in, that line is blurred. But I know what you mean. But
Mm.
the point is that I had a feeling in my heart like, Hughie, don't say no. Just go do something for you. So I
Mm.
went and done that, and then I left that. And one of the women there asked me just afterwards, would I do a show on Virgin Media called Eat with the Enemy, and
Yeah, I
that
know it.
was
Yeah.
two people having opposing views having a meal. I done that, great experience.
Mm.
But my point of explaining those two things to you is that those two things then led to me getting more work, which is what my instinct had told me. So I got to do Living with Lucy because Lucy Kennedy, which is on Virgin Media, and Eating with the Enemy had seen me on Eating with the Enemy, but she knew me from other work.
Okay.
But because they'd spoke to me on and off for a few years with doing the show, and the conversations always came to an end, either on my end or theirs.
Okay.
And she then seen me and that and was like, she reached out to me herself on Instagram to do
Fabulous.
Living with Lucy. And then First Dates asked me to do it a second time. And then I kind of got the vindication I wanted with Dancing with the Stars when they asked me to do a special series that they'd done coming into 2021 because they couldn't film that year's series over COVID.
Okay.
So they done a series of episodes called Bringing Back the Glitz, where they brought some memorable ex-cast members on to speak about their time on the show, and then they would edit in clips of their time on the show in between when they aired it on RTE. And I was one of only 5 people, and by then they'd done 4 series of 13 contestants. So that's like bloody 60 people, and I was one of 5 who got to do it. And bearing in mind, I was first to go home on my season, so I clearly made an impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's lovely.
and I was first to go home on series 1, so like that was when the show was only gaining fans in Ireland. So it wasn't even like, do you know what I mean? I'm sure more publicity. Well, no, there was no more publicity than my fake tan moment, but the fake tan obviously done it. But I got to do that, Bringing Back the Glitz for RTE. I done First Dates twice, Living with Lucy, Aim at the Enemy, and then last year, like this time last year, I got asked to this major US reality show called The Challenge on MTV, and it airs in 190 countries, and it's a show where you bring reality stars from around the world together to compete for $1 million.
And can we see that now? Like, where can we find that if we want to see it?
It airs in UK and Ireland 3 weeks after it comes out in America. So all that happened just before Christmas, right?
Okay.
But it will still be on catch up on like your Now TV, like, or wherever you can get MTV shows, you'll still get it. So I was great on the show. So many people really liked me and stuff, and I got on so well with the cast. And I went to Croatia for 2 months filming that, and I lasted like 2/3 of the way. And for like a guy that's not very sporty and fitness, that was fantastic. And
brilliant. It's another experience in life as well. Incredible. It's not just a program. Like, you know, people just see a program, but to you, it's a life
it's an experience. And like, I grew up in Ballymun in a caravan, and I went to this villa, like probably worth like millions. You want to see it was incredible. And like, I was one of these people that was picked from around the world to go on this really iconic show in America. It's been on since the 90s. It's one of the first reality shows in the world. If you Google it, I was on season 37, and this was the most diverse and international cast it ever had. And there's potential for me to go back for more seasons and stuff. I've spoken about that. And I also got to go to Amsterdam in October to film the reunion, which was incredible.
Oh, wow.
I felt like I was on one of the Real Housewives shows. Nobody else sit down and have the reunion all glamorous. So I got to do that. And what else did I do? I done a celebrity dating show on RT as well with my dad and my friend called Celebrity Pulling.
That's right.
The Pulling with my parents one.
Yeah.
So they're the different things I've done since I've come home. So I think for somebody that had spent so long away from the telly and, you know, was on Big Brother in like later years when Big Brother wasn't as publicized or watched as it used to be. And
when
especially
it moved to Channel 5, wasn't it? It moved to Channel 5 and it kind of lost a bit,
Yeah, and especially for like somebody like during a pandemic, that's fantastic to get all of that work since I've come home. So I'm so thankful for that. And I'm really thankful.
Going forward, if you get offered like loads more stuff, be it in Ireland or the UK, are you going to continue to keep doing what you're doing, and you enjoy that, obviously.
I love it. I love meeting new people, and I love having fun. It's never work if you're being paid to do something you enjoy. But I don't want to take away the illusion of how much work goes into filming shows. People think it's a holiday. It's not. Like that Celebrity Pulling with my parents, that took about 8 full days to film for me, my dad and my friend, right? That took 8 full days for us to film, and one episode is like an hour, and then it's 45 minutes when you get rid of ads, and then
Okay.
they have 2 people on the show, so I only get half the episode. So I got 22 and a half minutes airtime from 8 10-hour days filming.
Jesus, that's a
So
long old day. And
shows
how
you
did
how
your dad
much.
feel about, or was he not like, oh, come on, Jesus Christ? Like,
Oh
because
no,
he wouldn't be used to any of that.
he loves a good bloody moment. He done Living with Lucy with me.
Yeah, I remember
He's
seeing
done a
him
lot
on
of
it.
radio stuff, and he
Yeah.
likes it all. I think he does it to support me, but he likes to speak up for his opinions. There's a lot of internal stigma in our community, and I
Oh,
feel like he feels
100%.
like
Yeah.
I think he feels like he wants to publicly kind of say to people, "F you,"
And
sort of thing.
also, you're so underrepresented. Like we spoke about this the other night when it came to you being the first one in your family and even in your school, where there's a plaque on the wall of the school for doing your
Yeah,
leaving cert. And
the
I think
first
that's
traveler.
phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. You're the first. Also, we said, because I spoke about growing up. I remember travelers in the school were just given like a colouring book and told to go over and sit in the corner, and that was the
yeah,
way they were just not even educated, but facilitated in the schools
yeah.
years ago,
Kind
and
of
it
like.
wasn't nice,
Yeah, it's kind of like the kids are here, and you have to be here, but like you don't have to work. Just go in the corner and color up. Yeah, and that
No.
still was going on up to like 12 years ago. I left school 10 years ago this year,
Yeah,
and about a
yeah.
year or two before I left school, they got rid of the whole traveller liaison teachers and all of that,
Mm,
where you could do all of that. Like I
mm.
was quite clever in school, and I remember we'd be taking out class, and like it'd be said over the intercom, "Can all traveller kids come to whichever class?" Which I think subconsciously creates segregation, anyways. Rega-
100%, yeah.
yeah, regardless of how that's meant, right? And
Mm.
we'd go up there, and they'd be giving us food and asking us how things are and appointing us counselors and asking us questions about our home life and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And
It's
even if that's,
insulting.
yeah, even if it's meant in a nice way, it is insulting. And you know what it would end up doing? It would make kids also feel like they were unfairly treated in a bad way. Like, why are we getting free food and they're not? Who are they to be getting free food? So it
True,
wasn't.
yeah.
It was both sides were feeling shit and good, and it was just
Mm,
causing issues that it didn't need to be. And it's like I should be in maths class right now. Like when
mm.
as an adult looking at it, I'm like I should have been in maths class, not getting a free class off
Yeah, of
to sit
course.
here and talk to you utter rubbish. Like asking the young ones about like when did you want to get engaged and all of this business, when really there should be like I know there is all of that and stuff, and it's a stereotype for a reason because stuff like that goes on. But
Mm,
at like somebody who's not from our cultural background, I don't know if they were trying to be nice and fit in or whatever. People tend to do that in life. But like a teacher, an older lady or an older gentleman should be
mm.
standing there and saying, "Oh, like what would be your career wishes or dreams or whatever?" Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Try and create
Absolutely.
another conversation, because
Yeah.
if you feel like they haven't seen anything else, well, then maybe you show them something else whilst you've got time with them. That sometimes can be limited time for several
Yeah.
reasons. One,
Mm.
it's the norm to not always finish school. Then now it's things have changed a lot. My little sister's done an even start, and a few of my cousins have. And
Brilliant.
also, can I just point out, not everybody needs to bloody go to college or university or do the leaving cert to be successful, but it's a great achievement, and it shows a lot of
Mm.
commitment that you can stay on a school till you're 16 or 17. And let's be bloody honest, what else are the 16 or 17-year-olds doing? Like 25-year-olds find it hard to get work and get their own place these days in Dublin. Never mind
Yes.
17-year-olds. So
Yes.
like they should be bloody in school, but I'm not trying to like say practical work's not good either. If they can do an apprenticeship or something, but
Absolutely. Yeah. An apprenticeship and getting a trade is just as
yeah,
good as having a
do,
degree, you know?
do whatever it is that you want to do for sure.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, but like a lot of the times as well, it's there's not always equal opportunity, and when there is equal opportunity, a lot of people might feel like because there's a lot of issues like there can be people that can bully people for being travelers and say stuff to them, and vice
Mm.
versa. Vice versa, I
Yeah.
know that, and
Yeah.
also there could be a lot of paranoia because you're raised so much with like being told stories of your parents' times in school when stuff is going on that before you even go into school, you're already looking people up and down the same way they're being taught stuff about you at home, and that's why
Mm.
they look you up and down. So a
Yeah.
lot of people
And
when they
that
get
divide, exactly, that divide has seemed
yeah
to be always there.
And sometimes when they get to maybe 15 or 16 and their parents are like, oh, they've been in school long enough. I only stayed in till I was 12. They stayed till they're 15. That's brilliant. Well, tell me what 15-year-old wouldn't just like ditch school into good. So
100%.
there's a load of reasons why I think traveller kids don't always stay on in school, but that is changing, like for several reasons.
And you would see as well, we were talking about like preconceived conceptions of traveller people. Like we spoke about getting into bars, and even the older 18-year-olds say, getting into bars and nightclubs, and the majority of the times, like they're turned away from everywhere, and they're not given the opportunity to go in and look, like I'm not troublesome, or whatever you think about me, I am not that type. Because like you said, there's good and bad in every society.
Yeah.
And everybody being painted with the same brush, it's not okay.
It's not okay. And like the thing is, this is how superficial it is. I never have issues like that nowadays because I've been on telly. Because if the doorman doesn't recognize me or the manager doesn't recognize me, somebody in the bar will. And you notice how people see you as so different the second they think you're somebody, when really just because you've been on telly doesn't make you any more somebody than anybody else. And I noticed that in all walks of life. Like even when I've gone abroad to do surgery and I've started doing some blogging around the villa, automatically people have looked at me like, oh, what are you doing? And I'll explain to them. And then they'll go on my Instagram and then they'll see I've been on telly, and automatically they treat me differently. And then they're like, oh my God, can you follow me? Can you do this? And they treat you different. So that happens in bars and all back home in Ireland. And a lot of people think travellers are exaggerating or acting the victim when they talk about this, right? And they're not. Like, this is what goes on. Like, there's just so much rubbish that happens with people all the time. And it's just so silly.
Yeah, and also as well, it's, a lot of people in the traveling community, kind of, they need to use their voice to people, especially in the public eye. They need to use their voice to say, look, we're not all like that. Like anybody, we're not all like that. There's bogeys in every walk of life. Let's face it. Of
course there is. There's good and bad everywhere.
Yeah. And the fact that like we spoke about the other night, growing up and the abuse you've had over the years, and you've been attacked and stuff like that, and people calling you awful names, and that just saddens me this day and age. It really does.
Sad. It's really, really sad that stuff like that happens. But look, you try to push through things and see it as a reflection of them and not you. That's for one. And look, you just move on from things, really. That's all that you do. You just try to move on from things and just try to, I don't know, just get into a different place, I suppose. That's all you can try and do.
And you need to have a very thick skin as well.
Yeah, and educate people and talk about the right things. And I find humor is really good. I find like being honest and being open. Like nobody wants to be preached at. Like I get it. Like I get that. I find it weird, for example, like, because I have a different mindset now. This is how I don't eat meat anymore. I have a different mindset on how I view meat. I just don't see this. I just don't see it as food. So when people says, "Oh, Hughie, is it not irritating to be a vegetarian?" I'm like, it is irritating because I feel like there's not a lot of options on a menu. But I know that's I know it's getting better now. Things have got better, right? But it's not irritating. Other than that, it's not irritating. Like, as in, do I miss eating a kebab? No, I don't, because that turns my stomach.
So it's I'm not able.
It's mindset. But that doesn't mean I look at my sister and go, "Oh my God, you're eating a dead chicken, and that's so disgusting." And I need to preach to them all about how chickens are killed for that. But if, for example, we're going to have an educated adult conversation, I will be honest, but I'll do it in a different way. I try to, anyways. I don't always get things perfect, but I try to, and that's the same way I am when it comes to like how people act. Sometimes people acting out as a reflection of themselves, just so upset with themselves. This is why they act that way.
It's almost like they're turning the inside out.
Yeah, they're upset with themselves. They're down within themselves. So it's not really anything to do with you. It's just how they feel about themselves.
And when you said about honesty, and I love how honest you are. I think it's great, and it's actually refreshing as well. And I'm the
Thank you.
same. I love being open and honest, and I'll say anything or whatever. And sometimes people say, "Stop telling everybody your business," and I'm like, "I don't
Yeah.
care." It's But
Yeah.
also about when you speak about like your cosmetic surgery, a lot of people would would go, "Oh no, I didn't have that done." You have literally documented it throughout.
Yes. I have, and I've got criticism for that, and a lot of I'm not a social media influencer, but a lot of social media influencers gets abuse for stuff as well. It's like you can't do right for doing wrong, and you have to look at it like this. I'm not saying to people go and get like your teeth isn't good enough. Go and get these teeth done. Actually, if you want to read into it, what I'm actually telling people is that don't compare your teeth to mine because no amount of bleaching will ever make real teeth look like false teeth.
Never, yeah.
Secondly, if you'd like to have your teeth done, here's a reputable clinic, and this is the journey from start to finish. Like, I don't see that as bad. I see that as educational. You've got to look at it like this, that we've always lived in an image-based world, whether people like that or not, whether that's positive or not, we have. And that's becoming more. It's no longer lipstick and hair, it's lip fillers, it's teeth, it's gyms. I know that there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, but there's a lot of there's good and bad to everything. So if people are going to be having surgery and having their teeth done like they are, we know they are, like, isn't it good that somebody is showing them a journey start to finish and being
It's
very
like a
open and honest?
recommendation. It's a recommendation to anything, really. I mean, if you want to know where to get something, and you see somebody has had a good experience at this place, you're not pushing it on them. You're giving them a recommendation. Here's the best place to go. Here's how I got on. And again, it's great. Like, we all kind of, I think you get sometimes in your life, and like me with my braces. Oh God, for years I was saying I want to change my teeth. I fucking hate my teeth, and it gets me down. When I see myself smiling in pictures or laughing. And I mean, if you can do that and you feel better about yourself, no matter which way you go, if you get fillers, if you get whatever, you have to do that to make yourself feel better. And if it's within your
Definitely.
means, do anything. And I think being honest with yourself and saying, yeah, look, I want to change this, and I've changed it, and it makes me feel better. So fucking what, like?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that for sure. And that doesn't mean you have to go and do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't mean I've got a lot of addiction to surgery. And also, it doesn't mean that I'm so pleased with myself and I think I'm amazing. I've just done the things I've wanted to do. Like my hair, for example, I was really, really paranoid about it. And now I feel a lot better and it's growing in really well.
It
And
has actually grown lovely, yeah, because when you see it up
thank you.
close, when I seen it the other night, you pulled it back, you can see just like loads of growth. So you're going to have a fabulous mane in a couple of months.
I will. I've had it for 5 months or 4.5 months now.
Yeah.
So 12 months is really the full show. So this is only like less than halfway through
It's
already. Do you know what I
looking
mean?
good, looking good.
Thank you. And I'm excited about that. And it's nice to feel that way. So, do you know what I mean? I just think, look, life is short, and just try to have fun and do the things
Enjoy it
you
while
want to
you're
do.
here. And I think the pandemic has showed us that. The pandemic is
Yeah,
like, we've been locked down. Fucking hell. Let's
it's
go
a,
nuts now, we're allowed.
but it's surprising how much some people have forgotten that. Also, a lot of people were saying that to begin with, but like, I've even seen people. I hate how humans feel the need to attack each other all the time. Like this whole thing that's going on in Ukraine, which is obviously so sad, and I don't even know what to say about it other than it's like history is repeating itself, really, isn't it?
100%. Oh,
And
yeah.
some people online, I've seen people are doing the whole thing again, which they done at the beginning of the pandemic, which is somebody can't speak with anything other than this cause that's going on. So like I've seen people post something like, oh shit, really wanted to go to, just for example, such a concert and all tickets are sold out, and all the comments underneath, give it over you, enough going on in the world, worst things going on in the world. Look, all the people dying in the Ukraine, and you're over here sat bothered about a concert. I remember all that at the beginning of the pandemic, and I hate how people give each other stick like that.
Oh,
Like,
it's constant.
let people enjoy life. What
Yeah.
you should actually be taken from it is life is fickle. Things can happen. Like, just because there's a pandemic or something going on in the Ukraine, that's not me as an individual in Dublin or
Exactly.
in.
It doesn't mean our lives have to stop. Like, I mean,
And enough gets taken from us. And like, I remember even during the pandemic, which now people have very different views on 2 years later. Like there was a stage when everybody was hailing Boris Johnson as a king and this hero, and they have very different views now. So people are
Yeah.
like sheep, and they do follow
They
a
have
narrative.
very short memories. They all
Yeah,
have really, really
they
short memories.
they follow each other like a sheep, and
Yeah.
they're doing that now again, where like people at the beginning of the pandemic were giving each other a load of shit like that, and then it turned into like the pandemic has, I think that and like many things has taught people to enjoy life, because like
Yeah.
things change and you
It can be
never
taken
know.
away from you tomorrow
Yeah,
like that.
and you never know how much we're being manipulated with stuff. We don't know what's going on, and
Mm.
you like you realize how powerless you are to a lot of stuff at times. So like you should just enjoy life and be thankful and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
And there's the other side of it, that where soon as something happens again, people are like flocks of sheep running places. You see this petrol crisis. The same thing happened a few months ago in the UK, and
Yeah.
everybody
But
was
that's right. Yeah.
running to the
Yeah.
garages, filling up cans and cans of petrol and diesel.
Fuck's sake.
But they had no business doing that. There was just a short supply in
Yeah.
deliveries. But
And
if everybody,
I think we have
it's the
been
media. It's how
fed
people
to
are so.
panic. Yeah.
It's the propaganda. It's so people
Yeah.
are
Just
so
panic, panic.
easily people are so easily manipulated, but no,
Mm.
whatever.
Yeah, just leave them to it. Like, yeah, look, I mean, all you can do is kind of look after yourself, and it's nice to see people doing that. It really is, like, because
Yeah,
life is hard, and of course as well, like when I know when we were talking about you growing up, the majority of people in Ireland, and I know in the traveling community, they did grow up in poverty.
the
Like
older generations.
the
Yeah,
older generation did grow up in poverty, and the older generations of our, like, they grew up in poverty as well. So we were always kind of very grateful for the little things we got. Whereas
yeah,
nowadays, I look at my own kids and I go, Jesus Christ, like they're given way too much and they still complain, like, and it's just,
yeah. For
oh,
sure. And it's getting more and more and more now. Like I've been noticing this with the birthdays and gender reveals and whatever, and all of that's great. But I realize how much it grows and how much everyone then jumps onto it and feels the need to do it. Like
mm,
it's gone from say normal birthday parties and maybe a christening party to a gender reveal, a baby shower, big huge birthday
yeah.
party. And now what's come of this as well is night before photos. So what
Oh,
happens,
yes,
so the night
yes.
before the birthdays, the night before the weddings, the night before the gender reveals, the night before the christenings, there has to be a big array of balloons, a big balloon garland, the
Mm,
pajamas that says it on it, like bride to
I
be,
know.
birthday girl, and they have this big huge setup at home. And there's a pressure now to all my younger cousins feel the need to like
Mm,
be dolled up to the nines, not the day of their birthday, but from the night before, to get
yeah.
these photos just to post them on Facebook. And I've been there to take the photos. Everything is true in for the photo. And the second the photo was taken, they kind of just throw everything out the way. They don't care. And then the
Yeah,
next
you take the
day,
makeup off. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's all only put on for like 2, 3 minutes to take these pics. So just everything has become so over the top, and that's not
A
just
lot of it
kids.
has become very Americanized as well. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
years
it's
ago, we never decorated our house at Halloween, or Easter. And now, like, it's just fucking nuts. Like, I have more Halloween decorations than I do Christmas
yeah,
decorations.
everyone says that, but I do like stuff like that, and it's nice to celebrate life. But I do know what you mean about how much everybody gets now. We're living in a very, I feel like, a world where we like everything quickly as well. We're very
Oh,
what's
yeah.
that? It's fast fashion, it's fast food, it's
Mm,
everything else. We want everything now, and it's yeah. I was thinking of that today when I was watching the telly. Like years ago, you just watch the telly and have a normal phone when you'd ring someone, right?
mm.
And now, like, I don't even watch telly. I'm on my phone, and it's like a control thing where, like, I can just put what I want on my phone. Whereas
Yeah,
with norm,
yeah, don't have to sit through ads or anything, or
yeah, with normal even having to sit through ads, I can just switch off that and go on to another video or whatever. Whereas with normal telly, you have to watch whatever they put on the listings, and I don't want to sit there through
yeah,
a whole film or whatever. I like to be on my phone, and that's I
yeah.
think a lot of it is you want everything now. It's like you want to be able to do whatever
And
you want to
everything
do.
all together. You have
Yeah.
one more question for you, just before I forget. Tell me about your faith and how kind of important it is that you Like do you pray? Do you go to church? Like do you practice your faith?
I do. I pray every single night, and I also do the spiritual stuff where I like to write in my diary and do a bit of journaling and go for
Mm,
walks and listen to music and meditation stuff and podcasts and all this, right?
yeah.
I'm both sides. And like I went to all the shrines with my mum and dad growing up. So like
Well, that's what I
Magic
was just going to say, because I know in the Medjugorje and stuff, I know
yeah.
the traveling community are quite like, they're quite kind
There's a lot of
of,
groups that goes there, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so
So
that's why I'm wondering with the kind of younger generation, is that still followed on?
I don't know if it is as much, but
Okay.
I do obviously it still happens, but like I don't know if obviously I'm 27, but when I think of the younger generation, I think of the like 12, 13-year olds now. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
so with
But
my
you growing
generation,
up, you used to go
oh
to
yeah,
like,
yeah. And all of my cousins and friends, there was very much the kind of religion thing. Like all the lads even got all their tattoos. A lot of them had like holy tattoos and all. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas growing up, like I went to Lourdes twice, I went to Medjugorje twice, I went to another place in Portugal called Fatima. I went to
Okay,
a
yeah.
pilgrimage shrine in for Saint Anthony in Padua, which is in North Italy, and
Wow.
I used to always go to Knock in County Mayo with my family. So I've been to a lot
Ah,
of places like that, and I've been to a few other places like that in France with my mum and dad. One for Saint Teresa, Saint Bernadette, where she died after she was in Lourdes or whatever. She went to a convent in
that's
the middle of
unbelievable. That's quite impressive. You went to all them places when you
yeah.
think of it, like
I
really
went to
impressive.
I went to where she died and where she's laid out in a glass casket, um, in a place called Nevers, which is in mid France. So I definitely
Nice.
have belief, and I know obviously as a gay man, um, I understand the prejudice towards me within the religion or what appears to
Yeah,
be, and I understand Ireland's history. Like we talk about Muslim countries and what goes on across the world and stuff. Look how checkered our history is with women and
uh,
unmarried mothers and gay people and priests and kids and all of this. Like just
yeah,
so much our country. We talk about what Britain done to Ireland. What about what
yeah.
Ireland done to Ireland?
Absolutely.
You
Ireland
know
did
what I
to the
mean?
vulnerable,
Yeah,
100%. And
you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it still is. You look at the care homes and like all of this, right? You look at our
mm,
homeless crisis in Ireland. Like we
yeah,
have people sleeping on the streets outside some of our most iconic buildings where men and women were killed fighting
yeah.
for this
Fighting for
country and our
our country.
freedom.
Yeah, yeah,
Did we turn in their graves at the state, but sometimes with what the government
yeah,
has done to that? But even our recent governments and stuff and whatever. But away from that, with my faith, I definitely have a belief. I definitely feel like I've had a lot of signs in life that have made me feel for sure there's such thing as something, and it gives me comfort to believe that. Like I'd rather believe my fate is stronger than this, but if it wasn't, I
yeah.
would still prefer believe my parents are going to go somewhere, then they're just going to die. I don't get why people doesn't even just get their heads into that. Like none of us have been dead to be so sure on either side.
Exactly. We
So
know
I
there's a
don't.
higher power, but we don't know exactly what it
Yeah,
is.
we don't know what it is, and who am I to say it's our story that we were taught in school and it's not the Muslim
Yeah,
story? Who
yeah,
am I to say that? And I don't believe God or anything judges me for my sexuality. Like the Bible contradicts itself. It says God created everything, but then if He created everything, then He created me. But if He
exactly.
created me, why would I be wrong and He'd hate me? Like I don't get none of it. Like,
Yeah,
do
it
you know what I
doesn't make
mean?
any sense.
It's like if sex is such a disgusting act for people to do and women were thrown into homes for it, why would God, who apparently created everything, make that the way to have babies? Like
Yes,
it's so hard. It's so
yes,
hard to wrap our head around. And I feel like there's propaganda and sexism and control and all of that within
yeah,
it. Of course there is. But
yeah.
I definitely have faith. Like just here, I'll show you what I've actually just got behind me. Actually, just behind me on my little bedstand, I have like a holy photo.
Ah,
Yeah, and on my wrist, sorry, on my wrist, I've got it's called the Saint Philomena cord,
that's
but
right. Yeah,
my cousin gave me it, and she put it on my arm one night when we were drinking, and she was like, "Just keeps bad energy away." So it's not. I suppose
yeah,
it can be interpreted as spiritual
yeah.
as well
Look,
as like
whatever, whatever. I think
yeah.
whatever you believe
So
in.
I have a big belief in so much,
Yeah.
like, and even people that thinks that's so silly, like, I always say to them, have you ever had really strong instinct about something and it
Mm.
really comes true? Or have you ever had a dream and it comes true, like deja vu? Have you ever seen people that have been on a high pedestal and treated people so nasty, and a series of events happens in their life and it just karma hits them straight in the face? Have you ever
Absolutely.
vis have you ever visited a psychic and they're able to tell you stuff that's not like random, like neutral things like, oh,
Mm.
somebody in your family owns a business? Well, if we truly want
Yeah.
to believe this person, we'd find someone in our head and convince ourselves. But like deep detail that they couldn't know, like about somebody that's passed over or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
have you ever walked into a room and really felt an energy, like you could tell people have just argued in this room or something like that?
Yes.
Have you ever
Yes.
kind of seen somebody, when two people are so in love with one another, you can see it in their eyes just when they speak to one another?
Mm,
Like,
mm.
what does all of that mean? I feel like that is like a higher power energy in the
It
world.
is 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what? How does that happen? Like, how does the same things happen to people what they once done to people? If there isn't such thing as something in the world that is a power above us that
Yeah.
does things to teach us stuff, like, for sure, I believe that. And like, I always explain that to people that doesn't want to believe there's a God or whatever. I always explain those things to them, and they're like, "Yeah, actually, that kind of makes sense."
Yeah. It's. I feel no matter what God, like no matter what we believe in, whatever God we believe in, at the end of the day, we all came from the same one, and
Mm,
it's all about your faith, who you believe in, what you believe in, and what you want to take out of it, I think.
definitely, definitely, for
Mm,
sure. And
yeah.
no one should discriminate against each other for it. I
No,
don't like people that are rude, though. I don't like nasty, rude people that are
can't
either,
deal with them.
no, that's trying to either shove it down your neck or the opposite, where they're like making fun of it or
Yeah.
mocking it. I like when you see porn videos and they're dressed up as nuns and priests and stuff. I just think that's nasty.
It's just wrong, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's fucking
it's
wrong
like
on so
look,
many levels.
just don't believe it if you don't want to believe it. But
Or
why make a
somebody like
mockery?
somebody dressed as God or an angel and a fucking devil with big horns. Like it's just
Yeah, it's
wrong.
like it annoys me, and then like I see it especially in the gay world, and they're like, because Catholic Church
Yeah,
um
yeah, of
is it
course.
condemns gays. And the weirdest thing is this is people have said to me, because I know this guy actually that is a porn star. He was friends with a friend of mine, and I remember we were speaking one night, and he looks quite young for his age, right?
Okay.
And he said that he played the role of like an altar boy in a porn movie,
Oh,
had
good
sex with the
Jesus.
priest, and
Oh,
he was
good
using
Jesus.
he was using the terminologies like "thank me, Father" and all, right? Thank you, Father, and all in this porn video as he's having sex with someone. And I asked him, I said, "Do you not think that's a bit rude and disrespectful?" And he
Yes,
said, "Well, look what
100%.
the Catholic Church, like priests did rape little boys and stuff. But then,
Yeah,
so
but
you're gonna,
he's just staging it again. Like
yeah,
it's
so you're
fucking
making a mockery. So you're
crazy.
gonna make a mockery of that by making a porno of it. So you're gonna make a mockery of it and act like it's funny or it's sexual or
Yeah, yeah.
it's
It's
it's something,
reenacting it like.
yeah, or it's something to get turned on by. Like, are you making it for pedophiles or something? Well, it's sort of like the schoolgirl porn when you think of it. Really, that's pedophilia.
I think it's creepy. I think it's awful.
Because why would somebody want to have sex with a schoolgirl?
Is somebody in a school uniform and oh my God, it just
There is a
there's so
form of
many.
pedophilia. There's a form
There's
of pedophilia in that.
100%. That is wrong on so many levels as
It's the
well.
Britney music video. Like
Yeah, with his fucking pigtails and all. No, that's
when
just
you
wrong.
think back and the bra sticking out the shirt all tied
Yeah,
up.
that
When
wasn't
you
right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. That was the beginning of it all. I mean, we could see the shaved head from a mile away then.
And the umbrella attacking the car.
Let's be real. Like, she was exploited from day one, bless her. And I think
Yeah,
she's
yeah, yeah.
amazing, but
She
she
is
was. But
the free Britney movement was phenomenal.
yeah, and it worked. It
And
worked.
it did work. Listen, Hughie, like, come here. We could talk all bleeding night. I swear to God, I could
Can't
go
believe we've
on
been
and
speaking
on
for
and
over an
on.
hour.
I
We've been
know, I
speaking for
know,
over an hour.
I know.
That's
And
it
it only
flew
feels like
by.
10 minutes. And that was what we
Yeah.
were like. We were like that the other night as well. We had such a
Yes.
good laugh. And
I
then
know we
people,
got What were
I
you
had
saying?
people texting me going, Jesus, you kept that quiet that you're bringing him around to the paddocks. Would you let us know the next time? And I'd be like,
I have to
he's
come.
going to be he's going to be mobbed. So yeah, listen, we will finish our conversations over cocktails in the next couple of weeks around
Just
in the
like how it
paddocks.
started.
Just
like
like
how
how
it
it
started.
started.
And it was
Absolutely.
amazing.
And come here, it's been an absolute pleasure. And even the other night, you know, getting to know you and getting to know about your family and your background. And, you know, I think it's really refreshing, like I said before, for you to be so open and honest. And for people in the traveling community to see you, it hasn't all been a bed of roses on your journey to, you know, it hasn't. And to see if you believe in yourself and you believe in the person you have, because you've basically self-made yourself. You have.
Thank
because
you know, nothing was handed to me. I've done something so outside the norm that like nobody gave me anything in what I've done in TV. And as I said earlier, the past year has been phenomenal. And I don't even expect the next year to even get as much work because I'm not going to put that pressure on myself because of how great this past year went. And as I said, I'm trying to focus on business and stuff. But like things have been amazing. And life isn't ever a bed of roses. Life can be hard. But I do believe in that thing that you can achieve your dreams. You can go out there and you can do stuff and you can push past things, which is why, you know, this whole thing with Molly May and Kim K and everyone's like, these privileged women are trying to tell the working class people.
Get up off your arse and work.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest. I do believe you can do stuff. Like the prejudice towards travellers in Ireland is so acceptable. And I have pushed past stuff. The prejudice within the reality TV and entertainment industry with gay people, especially gay men, is big. Like there's no representation for us on Love Island whatsoever and stuff. But
That's very true,
But I don't have a six pack and all of these things these guys do. And I have still made some like great achievements in that industry. So I've pushed and it's been probably more difficult at times and stuff, but I've pushed and I've done stuff and I've found a way. So I believe everyone can.
You've pushed the boundaries and stepped outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I'm glad I've done that. I'm glad I've done that.
Absolutely.
For
not many people can say that. Not many people can say, look, because like we are very comfortable being comfortable all the time. And I think you need to get used to being uncomfortable if you want to succeed.
Yeah, and so many people give out about certain things, and like I have so much in times, but only you can change it. I promise you. Like if somebody wants to lose weight, you can have everyone around you in the world. You have to want to do it. If you want something, you have to do it. I promise. You can only walk with somebody so far, and support is everything. Like if it's work, if it's personal life, if you're surrounded by people and you can talk about stuff, it's half the battle. I promise you it is. But you have to do the rest of that battle yourself. Or otherwise,
100%.
you soon realize that half you've already done becomes undone. And in fact, you become even more in shit than ever because you start regretting allowing the good work be undone. So this is how people get on a cycle of not achieving the things they want to achieve, or being in a bad relationship, or not feeling good in their bodies and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's so much easier to find a few moments comfort in drinking.
Fall into dark places. A lot of people, because of that, they fall into dark places. And
I've been there.
Yeah, and it's very hard to pull yourself back out of that. So, look, I wish you the best of luck. I know this is the end of us as mates now, you know what I mean? Because we're cocktail mates. But yeah, look, it was lovely chatting to you, and I'm sure everybody really enjoyed watching you, and the real Hughie, not just the Hughie we see on reality TV that we all know and love. It's kind of a little bit more stripped back. Anyway, listen, thank you so much, Hughie, and I will catch up with you very soon.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for my story.
Nah. So there you go, folks. That was Hughie that we, like I said, we all know and love. I am going to leave it there because it's been a bit of a long podcast. But we're delighted to have had Hughie. Sorry about that music stuff coming in the background. Anyway, so we have 2 lovely bank holidays to look forward to over the St. Patrick's Day weekend. I want everybody to literally bust out their shells because we haven't been able to celebrate Paddy's Day in 2 years. So everybody break out your shells. Be the best version of yourself this St. Paddy's Day and stay safe and enjoy the couple of days off. And that's me till next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.